Do you remember when Metallica released the album Saint Anger in the early 2000s? The snare drum on that record was the #1 topic among sound engineers and musicians. I was always curious how a song like Frantic from that album would sound with a different snare. My goal here is not to criticize Metallica at all. We all know that they are the biggest metal band in the world. I just want to check what would happen if things were different, out of pure curiosity. I will also show you an interesting technique for blending snare drums, or even parts of snare drum together. In my opinion, not many people know they can do that. Now listen to the original version. One thing for sure, that's really special snare sound. It comes from the Ludwig Vistalite snare drum. And from what I read in the article, they came up with it by accident. Lars forgot to engage the snare wires during a session. They liked the sound so much that they decided to keep it for the whole album. And the reason why it became so divisive is of course the tail of the snare. Because there is no wires, the tail is very long and ringy. Let's try to replace the snare and the kick using isolated stem tracks. First, I just googled Metallica multitracks to find the stems for this song. These are separate stereo tracks for drums, bass, guitars and vocals. We take that stereo drum track and go to a free website called MVSEP. We upload the drums there and it separates the kick, snare, cymbals and toms for us. Then we import those tracks into our Cubase session together with all other stems. After that, we detect hit points on the kick and the snare tracks. Then Cubase converts them into MIDI. And after that, we can use any drum sound we want. A fun fact is that in this session I used 2 snares from 2 of our Herz Drums libraries. You can find links to these libraries below the video. Now listen to how these 2 snares sounds blended together in the full mix. The sound of each sample is the combination of the close mic sound and a far mic sound, the attack and the tail. The close mic sound are the DIs, which is the sound of the top microphone right above the snare, the sub microphone that captures the snare wires, and the FX, the additional compressed snare sample that gives it extra punch. And the far mic sounds are the rooms, reverbs and overheads. And now the important part. From the first snare I use only the close mics. Listen how they sound. This is a dry, direct sound, very close and in your face, without a big tail. From the second snare I did the exact opposite. I removed the close mics and kept only the far microphone sounds, the rooms, reverbs and overheads. These are the sounds from microphones placed farther away from the drum kit, and they give us the space and the tail. Of course, both snares are triggered by the same hit, by the same note. And now with slider called tuning, I can tune the sampler higher or lower to any note I want. This song is in the key of D minor, so I tune the close snare, the close microphones to the note A. In the key of D it's a 5th. As you can see on the screen, the biggest peak on the EQ is around the note A. I also have a prototype of a new plugin here for checking drum sample tuning. It also shows the note A. But the interesting part is that the second snare, the tail, is not tuned to A. It's tuned lower to the note D. On the EQ, the peak here is around D. Because the tail is now tuned lower, it shouldn't bother us that much.
My lifestyle determines my death style. My lifestyle determines my death style. My lifestyle determines my death style. My lifestyle determines my death style.
This room sound supports the snare really well. The snare becomes bigger and more powerful. And because the tuning of the tail is lower, it simply does not annoy me anymore. Now our snare is maybe a bit too clean. Compared to those guitars, you can tell, oh, it's too nice. So we need more like grit. In our case, I used like a black box analog design. It's saturation, yes? So if you want to have like dirtier snare sound, go with the highest saturation. If you want more nice, more cleaner, go down. And listen guys, let's compare it how it sounds with and without. I also wanted to try another kick drum. Just like with the snare, I split it into close mics and far mics to be able to process them separately. From close mics, I removed some low end, around 120 Hz, and a small cut in the very low frequencies. In the far mics, as you can see, I added compression and also a pretty big cut around 120 Hz, almost 7 dB. The kicks together with the snare all go into the drum group. The only thing I put on the drums group was a clipper. It adds a bit more punch to the drums. Now let's listen to the whole thing and hear if it sounds better.
If I could have my wasted days back, would I use them to get back on track? Stop to warm at karma's burning, or look ahead but keep on turning? Do I have the strength to know how I'll go? Can I find it inside to deal with what I shouldn't know? Could I have my wasted days back? Would I use them to get back on track?
You should really try separating the close and the far microphones in your own sessions. Thanks to that, I can write automation and, for example, add more or less room sound on different riffs. Like here we have a slower, more mellow section. Here I kept the same snare, but I muted the lower tuned tails completely. Instead, I brought back the original higher tails tuned to A.
My lifestyle determines my death style. Keep searching, keep on searching. This search goes on, this search goes on. Keep searching, keep on searching. This search goes on, this search goes on.
Let me know in the comments which version you like more. Does it sound better for you or no? Say what you think, I'm not gonna bite you. Going back to Metallica, how could such a massive band with a long history release an album with such a divisive sound? I also had a chance to work on bigger sessions, of course nothing close to the level of Metallica, but still sessions that lasted for months. And from my own experience, I can tell you that this is a very difficult period. You listen to those songs every single day, and it becomes very easy to lose your fresh perspective and your distance from the songs. That is the first thing. And then imagine that you are an engineer working with Lars Ulrich. If Lars comes to you and says, "This snare stays," would you really have the strength to tell him, "No man, absolutely not. Record this with someone else"? I would really like to see that. Spoiler, it could be much harder than you think. Keep that in mind when you judge someone's mixing choices. Let me know in the comments if there are any songs where you think the drums could sound a little different, or if there are any drum sounds you would like to recreate. We will try to cover that in our future videos. Also, check the links below. There you will find link to my courses. A brand new course is on the way and it's exactly about making virtual drums sound good in the mix. It's a very big course and I have been working on it for a few months already. So keep an eye on that. For all Herzdrums users, under the video you will find a link for the kick and snare preset exactly for that session. If you are still not a Herzdrums user, go and check our free trial. If you like the video, of course, give it a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. See you next time.